So I'm up here at the workshop and going to do a couple of things today. One among those is I'm unloading some tools because we are going to try to do a little bit of work on actually fixing that busted back window on the ambulance today. But the second thing is I've had non-perishable foods that we've kept stored inside the ambulance to try to prevent the chance that any animals or anything get into it. I brought some sealable cases that I can actually store the food in now, which would be a lot better to prevent animals being able to get into it. Plus, I'll be able to easily move those in or out of the ambulance as we need to move those around rather than needing to move many, many boxes, which you will see and have probably seen me have to maneuver around before. So we're gonna get started on some of that. First, I need to unload this and then be able to rearrange some stuff over there. Okay, so unloaded everything from the truck, and in order to be able to get the food out of the ambulance, probably the easiest thing is going to be to move the ambulance out of the bay. So I still need to move those cases out of the way too. But first I need to move the truck a little further away. I don't really need it now. I've emptied everything else that I brought out. I'm gonna bring the ambulance forward a bit so we can be able to get the food and stuff because you can't get to the back doors very well. So I thought it might be good to actually just bring you along and show you kind of what I'm talking about, where the doors are hard to open because it's all close together. So there's actually very little space between some of the wood shop stuff and where the doors are. So if we pull it forward, then we should be able to actually get in and out of that back door a little bit easier so that we can unload these food items into these cases so we can store them. Okay, so now we should have plenty of space to be able to actually do the work that we needed to do, but it does still look like we have a bit of an oil leak. So I want to check the oil levels and then probably add a little bit of oil to the engine and then hopefully do something to help clean up this shop because I hate the idea that I'm leaving behind this kind of a mess. Overall engine oil levels looked good. There was unfortunately some rodent sign inside the engine, so that's not good, which again just leads to more about the reason why I want to make sure the food is stored inside secure containers. There was an old panel we had on the floor over here because the ambulance was parked in here in the opposite direction before. I think if I just kind of move that over, when I back it back up, at least any future leaking won't make it any worse before we end up completely cleaning out this actual facility. So let's start emptying, or I'm gonna move that, and then I'm gonna start emptying out the stuff from the back of the ambulance. Okay, so I had to improvise a little bit. I decided to break down the box we had that was for our miter saw that I still haven't been able to set up and use, but break that down so I could use the cardboard to cover up the oil. There was not really a good board that I could use because I don't know for sure what's available, what's not. So broke down some cardboard, put that over top of it, set up the cases, and so now you'll see I'm gonna bring out all the food boxes, anything else I need to be able to clear out the ambulance to then be able to get the food into those storage cases, which we can seal and hopefully prevent any rodents from accessing. Hopefully it's not too late and they haven't already destroyed some of the food. Okay, managed to get all of the food out of the ambulance and did see a couple of little signs of the fact that there might have been rodents going in and out, but it looks like no boxes were broken into, so that's a really good sign. I was mostly concerned about these flour boxes because I think inside there they're just in bags, so fair chance that they would have seen that as an easy target. But nothing looks like it got busted into, so we're pretty good. Everything else primarily is in cans, so I'm sure that stuff would be safe. I was just mostly concerned with the rice, the milk, and the flour. Obviously the dish detergent is not in a can, but they're not gonna eat after that, go after that to eat it. So next step, I think I might actually try to take all the cabling over to kind of our trash storage area. So I'm gonna end up just driving the ambulance over there real quick, pushing it out potentially, or grabbing a roll cart if I can get one. I think there might be one available. And then just load that up and roll it around. Then after that, try to figure out how to get all these boxes into those cases. In case you hadn't seen this yet, this is the mass of cables that came out of the ambulance when we disassembled and took all of the cabling and everything up out of all the stuff. So none of the control mechanisms from the original ambulance are going to still be functional, so we pulled all of that out. Now I just need to get it somewhere else where we can maybe deal with selling that copper later or use it for wiring up other stuff, but for now it just needs to be out of the way. So one of the unique characteristics about these boxes a little bit is that they are angled slightly upward, right, on the internal walls. So putting the boxes in means we definitely are going to lose some space, plus just looking at the one white flower box when I have three means we're not going to be able to fit those boxes in there. So probably going to bust out the flower out of the box, and then basically probably start filling in the space left behind by the flower with anything else that could go into the boxes, fitting into those nooks and crannies around it that we need to. So at least limiting how much is external to these cases. So it's 2 cases to move and then maybe a couple of boxes. I'm hoping most of it can fit. It's just that the boxes themselves aren't gonna fit automatically on their own. So we gotta kind of break the stuff down, put the food in here, and then hopefully soon-ish, we'll have real storage spaces for this food. All right, and just like that, all of the products that I was mostly concerned with needing to have inside a really secured, watertight container are actually all in here. So that's the flour, macaroni, rice, and these bags of milk. Everything else is in cans. So even if some animal got through the boxes, they wouldn't be able to get to it. But we managed to get that all in one container, and honestly with some room too, because the lid has some depth to it. So this stuff's not really sticking up yet. So it could easily actually fit a little bit more in there. But for now, I want to kind of consider this to be the concerned, like this is the stuff I'm mostly concerned with. So I want to seal that one and then see how many cans we can fit into this. If all of it fits, then I'm not going to worry about it. If it doesn't all fit, then I might come back, remove everything from here, put a lining of cans at the bottom, and then stack stuff on top. I don't want to put the cans on top of this stuff because it is able to be smashed, and I don't want it to pop any of the bags or anything. So that's what we're gonna do next, is move all of the cans from the boxes into this second container now. So I know there's got to be a couple more that have these standard size cans, and I'm going to go through those, but I just wanted to show, like, basically what I'm doing is going 4 high. This could probably go to 5 high. I'll test that later if we really need to, but sticking at 4 high because then it means nothing might fall over the edge whenever we open. But I'm also going single type, so that way you could be grabbing from any of the kinds of foods, because not knowing exactly how we're going forward, what could end up happening is that this is the storage and it's locked for us for a little while it's on the new property with our first person in an ambulance. And I would love to be able to, pull different items straight out of here to be able to prepare meals. So I thought about that partway through and decided to shift so that you have green beans and then corn and then black beans and now cream of chicken soup. So that way the next things that are going to come in are more like whole meals. So there's some chili con carne and some I think soups, and then there's some plastic containers. We might have to figure out how we do those. Those might be able to lay across in both. So that, I think we'll be able to get everything into these 2 cases at this point. Okay, so with what's left, we're looking at with a little bit of a different thing going on. So this is how much space we filled up. We have this section, and then along this wall, now that it's been kind of stacked vertically and pushed towards that corner, a small amount of space right here, some through here, and then we do have pretty much enough on top too. I don't know if it's gonna hold one of these vertically, but the rest of the containers are this size. They're in these plastic containers. We have salsa, applesauce, and spaghetti sauce, I think. Spaghetti sauce. and then these bottles of liquid dish soap. So looking at this now, I'm thinking liquid dish soap at least might fit in along this wall where it's more narrow, and then see if we can fit a couple down into here once we kind of stabilize this side, probably some here, and then fit in here, and if we have to, we can lay them sideways across the top on both, and I think we might be okay. So that's all that's left. Let's get those done. So I was able to get this all in here. Looks like all of the food has fit. I'm excited that I'm gonna be able to seal these up. And honestly, these actually have the ability to be locked as well. So we can have these on site and then not have them just get broken into and stolen, as we have had happen on some of our stuff so far, which is a decent segue to what the next portion of this is gonna be, which is an effort to replace that broken window at the back of the ambulance. So I'm going to seal these up and then start on that. Okay, so of course, par for the course. I did check, and the new windows are slightly larger than these, which is good because that means all I would have to do is maybe trim a little bit. But I needed to unscrew this old window and start taking this stuff out of here. And I did not bring new bits. I have new drivers, a new drill, and did not get bits for it to be able to unscrew stuff. So I need to run to the store, and I'm gonna grab lunch while I'm there too. I'm also gonna get a couple more cutoff wheels for the angle grinder, so I can maybe start cutting some more of the sections of the floor and some other stuff out. So we'll see what we end up getting all done today. But for now, I'm gonna have to make a quick run somewhere else. Not what I expected to do. Editing Dan here, and that serves as a really good segue. And we're gonna actually go ahead and end the video here and can come back for part 2, where I start to tackle more of the window project. It ended up being significantly more challenging than I initially anticipated.